Okay, there's one of me here. Okay, so I happen to be an ex-Protestant. Ex-Protestant. I escaped the church. Um, yes, I was basically a fundamentalist Baptist. That's what I was. I was born in that religion. My parents gave birth to me in church. So I am fully immersed in church since I was a little baby, a little tiny baby. So I probably listened to sermons when I was in the belly of my mother. So I was entrenched in it. But I wasn't just a follower. I was a seeker. I was a seeker, just like Jesus says. Seek, seek. Do not trust what's put in your lap. Because Jesus didn't make this. The Catholics did. But as a fundamentalist Baptist, by the way, all Protestants, all Protestants are, all Protestants are Catholics. Catholics. All Protestants worship this book and revere it. And holy means set aside. Doesn't mean something funny, like in church, holy, holy, holy. No, it just means set aside. When you're saying holy, holy, you're saying set aside, set aside, set aside. You are so set aside. All in your glory, you are set aside. That's what you're singing. You're singing, you're set aside. So, anyways, that's why I say that the Protestants are Catholics, because they revere what the Catholics invented. Jesus did not invent the Bible. Jesus never blessed the Bible, ever, never. Jesus never said, go read the Bible, never. He said, Jesus did say to the rich person who was in the knot of the, what is it called? The bosom of Abraham. He was not in the bosom. He was outside the bosom of Abraham. They told him, because, the guy's like, oh, why don't you go raise the dead over there so people can believe you? It's like, they're not going to believe that crap. Plus, they have the instructions, the laws. That means the instructions and the prophets. They have the instructions and the prophets, so they know what to do, okay? Because if they don't, they're not going to follow anything I do. If they don't follow the instructions and the prophets, because the prophets tell you what to do. Yes, read the prophets. Nobody reads the prophets in church. They just take one verse out of the prophets, and they say, oh, this means Jesus. Isaiah 53, see, Isaiah 53 is about Jonah. Has nothing to do with Jesus. Yes, has nothing to do with Jesus. Has to do with Jonah. That's the reason Jesus even, because they were pushing this, the four gospels. That's why, that's why Jesus said, I give you the sign of Jonah. Because he was there when they were saying that, oh, Isaiah 53 is about Jesus. So he tells you that's not about me, okay? So, but anywho, it's about, so they don't even read the prophets. How many times have you read Amos or Hosea over and over again? Can you recite Hosea over and over again? Can you recite Amos? How about Habakkuk, or what's his name? Yeah, everybody knows Ezekiel and Isaiah because they pull crap out of there about the future, the past, and everything. But what about Nehemiah, Amos, Hosea, Daniel, all that stuff? The instructions of God. Zechariah. Nobody reads it. How come you don't know the Zechariah by heart? Why is that not written in your heart? Why aren't you studying Zechariah day and night, like it says even in here? Why aren't you doing it? But yeah, you have the prophets, and the prophets tell you that you have strayed from the Creator, not God, the Creator. That's what the prophet. But they changed it. Now a prophet is somebody who freaking does the freaking, what do you call it? The gopher, the Punxsutawney Phil. That's what they say prophets are. They're Punxsutawney Phils. They foretell the future of winter. That's what they say. No, prophets never foretold the future. Prophets were telling people, they were the assholes who are telling people, hey, you guys are wicked Christians. Yes, you guys should follow your God's instructions, but you're just wicked. So that's why they kill the prophets. Like, what's his name? The one I said in the previous video. I'm sorry, I forgot. Which says the prophet who you guys killed between the temple and the freaking altar. That's right, because they were saying, you guys are crap. You people in temple, you people in church are crap. You're not following the instructions of the Creator. That's what it means. Doesn't mean they're going to foretell the future. But what they said was, if you keep on doing what you're doing, you're going to end up, you are walking by you doing what you're doing. You're walking in destruction. In destruction. You got to go back to the Creator and be like a sparrow. Because what you're doing today is you're walking in destruction. Yes, that's what Jesus says. And all the prophets. Because Jesus didn't come up with a new idea. Jesus was telling exactly what the prophets were saying. That's why Jesus says it in his parables. He said, oh, but look, the Son is going to come and tell them what the ones told before. He doesn't say he came in a new message. It's new to you because but Jesus just says, you're in the prison of God's world and you need to exit it. That's what you're in. You're in the prison. That's why you go to church every Sunday. Because you're in prison. You're prison. You're tied. Religion means bondage. It doesn't mean, oh, we're bound together in love. No, it means bondage. Because if you go to church and if you're an adulterer, then you get the electric chair. That's what you do to prisoners. That's what religion means. You're in bondage, a prisoner to the world of God. That's what it is. John 3:16, God so loved the world. That's the world of God. That's where you're prisoners of. So, as a Protestant, I apologize to the Catholics, even though, because Protestants talk a lot of crap about the Catholics, even though the Protestants are Catholic. They're Catholic. That's the common denominator on the bottom. They're all Catholic, and then on top, they're Baptist Catholic. They're freaking apostolic Catholics. They're freaking whatever denomination that you see in church, just put it on top, and on the bottom is Catholic, because Catholic invented everything. Yes. So I apologize to the Catholics, because the Catholics feed the poor. They have an infrastructure. Not the Protestants. The Catholics do. I know, because the big beautiful bill that the freaking Christians support, because it was passed with the approval of the Christians. Okay, so they are part of the big beautiful bill, which they cut the feeding the poor. If you have to jump through hoops, super hoops, to get it. Okay, so for 7 months, I was fully entitled to the SNAP benefits. I was entitled to it by God of the Bible, who rules this world. I'm entitled to it. But because the big beautiful bill, I had to jump through hoops, and because of my condition, it took me 7 months. 7 months of no food. I had no food stamps because I have no income. No income. I can't even get people here to watch the commercials so I can get a penny. If I get 25 of you to watch commercials, then I can get a quarter so I can call someone on the payphone, which they don't exist no more. But anywho, so I was entitled to it. So I would have been starving, because nobody takes care of the poor. Nobody. They don't give a crap. They don't give a crap about you. But guess what? For 7 months, I went to the food bank in town, run by the St. Vincent de Paul, which is a Catholic infrastructure. No Protestants have fed me. None. There's no infrastructure at the Baptist church. There's no infrastructure of food for the Assembly of God. There's no infrastructure that feeds somebody. Yeah, I've seen. I remember church when I went. They had a food pantry. They have a little closet with some food over there, so they have some crap left over from somebody. Yeah, well, if they're poor, they can be choosers. Yeah, you know what? In your Bible, it says, your God says, when you feed the poor, you do it in my name. That's what it says in your freaking Bible. And you're not doing it, okay? That's what it says. You're doing it in my name. Do you bring garbage to your God? Is that what it says? Bring your lame freaking offerings to me. Just garbage. Pick it off the ground. Your steak, your good steak, you eat it. But the one that dropped and the cat licked on the ground and the dog came and took a few bites, that one you give to the poor, to God. That's what it says. God said, give me your shit. Bring me your shit to the temple. I want your shit. Bring your shit to the temple. No, it says, bring me the best. The best. That's what it says in your Bible that you're not reading. And bring me the best. Okay, you got to bring to the table, because to the temple, because even your one, it says bring your best, because the temple fed the poor. That's what they did with all the offerings. They did some stuff, a little bit of it. They cut. Go read it. Go read it. It's in there. They did, but everything else that was not used in the temple, they fed to the people, to the poor. That's what they did. Because I guarantee you, the rich people who brought crap, they didn't eat the food from the temple, but the poor people did. That's where they went to get their food. So at least the Catholics do that. The Protestants don't. So that's why I apologize to the Catholics, because I talk crap about you, but at least you are the ones who are doing what Jesus said. What Jesus said. Feed the poor. The Protestants don't. When I grew up in church, they didn't want to feed the poor. Oh, don't give money to the poor like Jesus said. Jesus said, sell everything you have and give them money to the poor. No, don't give money to the homeless, because what they do, they're going to buy beer and cigarettes. Well, it's their freaking problem, not yours. You do it unto the Lord. You do it unto the Lord. So you don't care what they do with it. Once you give it to the person, then it's out of your hands. You have done your duty. What they do with it, that's their problem. And they might, okay, fine. They go and buy alcohol because they need it. They need it to survive, because alcohol gives you euphoria. So when they're sitting there as a homeless person in a puddle of water because they don't have a house to go drink clothes, at least if they drink alcohol, they feel a little bit better of freaking sleeping in shit, okay? So that's what the Protestants, they follow what Paul says. If the poor don't work, let them starve. That's anti-Jesus. Paul is anti-Jesus. Yes, because the reason he even said that was because Jesus said don't work. Don't give to Caesar what belongs to the Creator. In other words, this belongs to the Creator because he was created by God. Don't give Caesar. Don't go into the mines digging for gold for Caesar, because gold doesn't go to the Creator. The Creator created the freaking gold, right? So why the heck would you want the Creator want you to dig it out of the ground so you can build a temple that doesn't grow out of the freaking trees? Like the Creator said, go eat the fruits of the trees. So that's what he said. Don't give your body over to, and that's why Paul was saying, don't be like Jesus. Go to work. Go to work for Caesar. Earn money because you got to support your family. That's what Paul said. And if people don't work, like they're homeless for whatever reason, they don't have money, they're poor, let them starve to death. That's what Paul said. So that's what the Protestants embrace. I know, because I didn't give money to the homeless people when I was in church, because they don't work, let them starve. So I apologize to the homeless people that I didn't give any money to. I apologize. But it's too late. Now I changed it, but it's the Protestants. So I apologize, because at least the Catholic Church has the infrastructure to feed me for 7 months. Granted, it wasn't the best food on the planet, but it was what they get because they depend on donations, and they do buy stuff because people donate money and some of the product is bought, but they have infrastructure. I lived for 7 months on that food. I couldn't have done it on Protestant stuff, because the Protestants don't have garbage. They have nothing. They don't have the power of Jesus. They don't follow Jesus. They don't do garbage. They don't do nothing. So I'm not telling you go become a Catholic. I'm not saying that. I don't support going to the temple, going to the church, and doing all that garbage that's over there. But They have an infrastructure. So if anything, donate your money. If you don't want to go help the poor, your neighbors, everyone around you in your community, that's who your neighbor is. Anyone, yeah. And if you separate yourself with your gated communities to keep the poor people out, well, that's because you have a hardness of your heart, because you don't want the poor people hanging around your house. So therefore, you're wicked. You're wicked because God puts the poor people around you so you can take care of them. That's why Jesus said, you will always have the poor around you. Because why? Because the hardness of your heart. Because if you sold everything you have, if all of you sold everything you have and give money to the poor, there wouldn't be any poor people, because there's tons of resources to feed everyone, everybody could have. Everybody could have. Yes, but they don't, because you don't follow Jesus. Yes, so that's why I apologize to Catholics, because at least they're doing that little bit. They're feeding the poor. And if you read what Jesus said, he said in the separation of the goats and the sheep. The goats were the ones that were going to the church. They're going. That's if you look at it. Didn't we sing praises in your name? Didn't we freaking have worship services in your name? Didn't we pull out the demons in your name in church like Benny Hinn and all the other freaking frauds? Didn't we do all that? And Jesus said, "Go away from me. I do not know who you are." You were following Paul. Paul's the one that was telling you to do all that garbage. I didn't tell you to put in apostles in your church. I didn't tell you to put deacons in your church. I didn't put in there to put prophets in your church, tongue talkers in your church. I didn't tell you to do that. You guys did it because you guys follow Paul. Go away from me. Go with Paul, because I don't know you. That's what Jesus says in the goats. Sorry. And he says to the sheep, he says, come here. And they say, why? Why should we get this privileged actions from you? And he said, because you did what I asked you to do. You guys, when I was poor, you guys came and fed me. When I was in prison for God's name, not because I murdered my neighbors, when I was in prison for my name, you came and comforted me. Go in there, it's written. Yes, it's all there. So guess what? The Protestants don't feed the poor. They don't. They hate the homeless. You know, Protestant churches have like 10,000 rooms. The buildings, they have to, for their stupid Sunday school, for like an hour, they have Sunday school. So they have all these stupid rooms in there, and they're empty. All those rooms could house the homeless. And then, and they'll just say, hey, Sunday, we need these rooms to teach people about the Bible. So can you just evacuate for Sunday morning and go walk around town and beg for money or something? Just this Sunday, we're going to use those things, And say, well, they stink because they poop all over. Okay, so all your church people, Saturday night, clean up the place and, do all that crap. But you don't. They don't. I know. I've seen it. And if there's a homeless person around the church, they call the police. The temple Nazis. Yeah, the ones that came around and got the taxes, because that's what the police are. They're the temple goons that come with the badges from the temple. Yeah, because that's what that's what the city hall is. The city hall is a temple. Yes, they separation of church and state because they want you to fool you, but it's part of it. I told you in previous video that coronation comes from they're one. The coronation. The church freaking appoints the king, so they're in one. But now they're just separated, so they got you completely fooled. But that's what the police is, and the church caused the cops, the temple goons with the badges from the temple, to get rid of the homeless people. They want a clean lawn. They want to look beautiful, like a freaking yeah. So, because there was an instance in Salt Lake City, some outskirts of Salt Lake City, there was a homeless person that broke into a church, not into the church, but like because he broke in and he stole the food that was in the refrigerator because he was hungry. and they knew this guy. The people apparently knew this guy around that area, the Mormons. So they, but the Baptists do the same crap. They will do the same crap. They'll call the freaking police on their asses. They're all the same. They're all the same garbage. But he broke into it to eat, and they knew him because apparently he was around that area. And they called the police, had him arrested. They had it, yeah. Instead of just feeding the fucker, they could have just fed the motherfucker, but they wouldn't. They wouldn't. They called the police on the guy and had him arrested, and they probably shipped him out to L.A. because that's what they do. They got rid of people in the freaking holy moly with our temples in Salt Lake City. Guess what? They got rid of all the homeless. They just have one homeless person, a token homeless person at the entrance of their temple, because they're in cahoots too. He pretends to be homeless or whatever, and then he has to give his 10% of whatever, hey, give me some money when they come to the temple. Yeah, they have a token homeless person at the front of their temple in Salt Lake City. I was there. I couldn't believe it. It was like, what the crap, man? Yeah, they have it. So, but that's what they do. The holy people, they call the police, the temple goons with badges and guns and swords, and they get rid of the poor people. Yeah, fuck Jesus. They get rid of him. We don't care what Jesus said. We're going to take Paul. Paul's going to tell us to, hey, if they don't work like us in the mines for Caesar, fuck them. Fuck them. Yeah. That's what your church is. So I apologize to the Catholics as an ex-Baptist, as an ex-Protestant, because they talk crap about Catholics. Oh, yeah, they're just a bunch of freaking, what is it called? Idol worshippers. They worship, they freaking do all that crap in front of them. That's called idol worship. So they talk a lot of crap about, oh, they're so stupid, they're idol worshiping. That's what the Protestants say. Yeah, if they don't say it out loud, they say in the back room, just like, other stuff. But anywho, so I apologize to the Catholics because at least they have a freaking infrastructure. They have an infrastructure that fed me for 7 months. 7 months. I did not go hungry. Yeah. So I hope they find the answer and they escape the world of God. So anywho, I'm going to leave you again. I hope you're well. Still only one person in my chat room. So, but I'm preaching to myself. Anywho, because I'm not responsible for anyone. So I'm just reinforcing what I already know. So, because I always check this video after I finish it. I check it to make sure I wasn't a complete clown. So, or if I said something too bad, then I'll have to delete this because I don't know how to edit because I'm a retard. I don't know how to edit freaking videos. I kind of do, but it's a long process and I cannot put up with that. I'm going to go hang myself in the shower. So before I can edit this stupid garbage. So anywho, be well and go feed the poor. Go support. If you're a Protestant who doesn't feed the poor and you don't know how, at least donate your money to the Catholic Church, not to the church itself, because they have separate ones. What do you call it? The St. Mary's or they have the infrastructure. So like St. Vincent de Paul, that's so give to the saint. You say, hey, this is for the food bank. Figure out how to do it. So at least you can do something. Okay, because it does say, God does say, you got to take care of the freaking stranger in your country, of the foreigner in your country. That's what God, not even Jesus. Yeah, even God, because Jesus has nothing. They're not like this. Jesus and God, that's bullcrap that they tell you in church. The Trinity, Jesus never said the Trinity. When Jesus said, me and the Father are one, he's not talking about God. He's talking about the Creator, which is not God. Okay? That's why he says, read it. It's there. I know it's jumbled. You have to figure it out, but it's in there. So, if you're a Protestant and don't know how to feed the poor and don't have infrastructure because your church is freaking retarded per Jesus, go give your money to the church. Go give your money to the Catholic Church. Because they feed the poor. They feed the poor. And they feed a bunch of people because there's line there at Pig. and that pick up food for the children, for the elderly, all that stuff. They have it. So I hope I hope the Catholics continue doing that, and because they're blessed, they will be blessed from generation to generation to generation. When you do that, you're blessed. Even the God of the Bible says that you'll be blessed from the reincarnation to reincarnation. That's what it means from generation to generation. Um, so goodbye. Take care. Don't snore too much when you're sleeping. You're still here, and I'm still here. It's not ending. End the stream. Finally.